The Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will, by the servant of God, Luisa Picaretta, little daughter of the Divine Will. For private use only. Meditations for the month of May, for the House of the Divine Will. May 6, 1930. Luisa Picaretta. Fiat. JMJ. Maternal Appeal of the Queen of Heaven. Dearest daughter, I feel the irresistible need to descend from heaven to make you my maternal visits. If you assure me of your filial love and faithfulness, I will remain always with you in your soul, to be your teacher, model, example, and most tender mother. I come to invite you to enter into the kingdom of your Mama, that is, the kingdom of the Divine Will, and I knock at the door of your heart, that you may open it to me. You know, with my own hands I bring you this book as gift. I offer it to you with maternal care, so that in your turn, in reading it, you may learn to live of heaven, and no longer of earth. This book is of gold, my child. It will form your spiritual fortune, your happiness, also terrestrial. In it you will find the font of all goods. If you are weak, you will acquire strength. If you are tempted, you will achieve victory. If you have fallen into sin, you will find the pitying and powerful hand that will lift you up again. If you feel afflicted, you will find comfort. If cold, the sure means to get warm. If hungry, you will enjoy the delicious food of the Divine Will. With it you will lack nothing. You will no longer be alone, because your Mama will keep you sweet company, and with her every maternal care, she will take on the commitment of making you happy. I, the Celestial Empress, will take care of all your needs, provided that you consent to live united with me. If you knew my yearnings, my ardent sighs, and also the tears I shed for my children, if you knew how I burn with the desire that you listen to my lessons, all of heaven, and learn to live of Divine Will. In this book, you will see wonders. You will find a Mama who loves you so much as to sacrifice her own beloved son for you, in order to allow you to live of that same life of which she lived upon earth. Oh, please, do not give me this sorrow. Do not reject me. Accept this gift of heaven that I am bringing you. Welcome my visit, my lessons. Know that I will go throughout the whole world. I will go to each individual, to all families, to religious communities, to every nation, to all peoples. And if needed, I will go around for entire centuries, until as Queen, I have formed my people, and as Mother, my children, who would know the Divine Will and let it reign everywhere. Here is the purpose of this book explained to you. Those who will welcome it, with love, will be the first fortunate children who will belong to the kingdom of the Divine Fiat. And I, with gold characters, will write their names in my maternal heart. See, my child, that same infinite love of God, which in redemption wanted to use me in order to make the eternal Word descend upon earth, is now calling me into the field once again, entrusting to me the difficult task, the sublime mandate of forming on earth the children of the kingdom of his divine will. Therefore, with maternal care I set to work, and I prepare for you the way which will lead you to this happy kingdom. For this purpose, I will give you sublime and celestial lessons, and finally, I will teach you special and new prayers, through which you will commit the heavens, the sun, the creation, my very life and that of my Son, and all the acts of the saints, so that in your name they may infiltrate the adorable kingdom of the divine will. These prayers are the most powerful, because they bind the very divine operating. By means of them, God will feel disarmed and conquered by the creature. Confident of this help, you will hasten the coming of his most happy kingdom, and with me, you will obtain that the divine will be done on earth as it is in heaven, according to the desire of the divine Master. Courage, my daughter. Make me content, and I will bless you. Prayer to the Celestial Queen for each day of the month of May. Immaculate Queen, my celestial mother, I come onto your maternal knees to abandon myself in your arms as your dear daughter, in order to ask of you, with the most ardent sighs, in this month consecrated to you, the greatest of graces, that you admit me to live in the kingdom of the divine will. Holy Mamma, you who are the queen of this kingdom, admit me to live in it as your daughter, that it may no longer be deserted, but populated by your children. Therefore, Sovereign Queen, I entrust myself to you, that you may lead my steps in the kingdom of the divine will. And as I cling to your maternal hand, you will lead all my being to live perennial life in the divine will. You will be my Mamma, and to you, as my Mamma, I deliver my will, that you may exchange it with the divine will, and so I may be sure I will not go out of its kingdom. Therefore I pray you to illumine me, in order to make me comprehend what will of God means. Hail Mary, full of grace, the Lord is with thee. Blessed art thou amongst women, and blessed is the fruit of thy womb, Jesus. Holy Mary, Mother of God, pray for us sinners now, and at the hour of our death. Amen. Little Sacrifice of the Month. Each morning, midday, and night, 3 times a day, let us go on to the knees of our celestial Mamma and say to her, My Mamma, I love you. And you, love me and give a sip of divine will to my soul. Give me your blessing, that I may do all of my actions under your maternal gaze. Day 28. The Queen of Heaven in the Kingdom of the Divine Will. Limbo. The Expectation. Victory over death. The Resurrection. The soul to her mother queen. Pierced Mamma, your little child knowing that you are alone, without your beloved good, Jesus, wants to remain clinging to you, to keep you company in your most bitter desolation. Without Jesus, all things change into sorrow for you. The memory of his harrowing pains, the sweet sound of his voice, which still resounds in your ear, the charming gaze of dear Jesus, now sweet, now sad, now swollen with tears, but which always enraptured your maternal heart. As you don't have them with you any more, they are like sharp swords which pierce your pierced heart through. Desolate Mamma, your dear child wants to give you relief, an act of compassion for each pain. Even more, I would like to be like Jesus, to be able to give you all the love, all the comforts, reliefs, and compassion which Jesus himself would have given you in this state of yours of bitter desolation. Sweet Jesus gave me to you as your child. Therefore put me in his place in your maternal heart, and I will be all of my Mamma. I will dry your tears, and I will always keep you company. Lesson of the Desolate Queen and Mother. Dearest child, thank you for your company. But if you want your company to be sweet and dear to me, and bearer of relief to my pierced heart, I want to find in you the divine operating and dominating, and that you do not surrender even one breath of life to your will. Then, yes, will I exchange you with my Son Jesus, because his will being in you, in it I will find Jesus in your heart. And oh, how happy I will be to find in you the first fruit of his pains and of his death. In finding my beloved Jesus in my child, my pains will change into joys, and my sorrows into conquests. Now listen to me, child of my sorrows. As my dear Son breathed his last, he descended into limbo as triumpher and bearer of glory and happiness to that prison in which were all the patriarchs and prophets, the first Father Adam, dear Saint Joseph, my holy parents, and all those who had been saved by virtue of the foreseen merits of the future Redeemer. I was inseparable from my Son, and not even death could take him away from me. So in the ardor of my sorrows, I followed him into limbo, and was spectator of the feast, of the thanksgivings, which that whole great crowd of people gave to my Son, who had suffered so much, and whose first step had been toward them, to beatify them, and to bring them with himself to celestial glory. So as he died, conquests and glory began for Jesus, and for all those who loved him. This dear child is symbol of how, as the creature makes her will die through union with the divine will, conquests of divine order, glory, and joy begin, even in the midst of the greatest sorrows. Even though the eyes of my soul followed my Son, and I never lost sight of him, at the same time, during those 3 days in which he was buried, I felt such yearnings to see him risen, that in my ardor of love, I kept repeating, "Rise, my glory! Rise, my life!" My desires were ardent, my sighs a fire, to the point of feeling consumed. Now in these yearnings I saw that my dear son, accompanied by that great crowd of people, went out of limbo in active triumph and brought himself to the sepulchre. It was the dawn of the third day, and just as all nature had cried over him, now it rejoiced, so much so that the sun anticipated its course to be present at the act in which my son was rising again. But oh marvel, before rising again, he showed that crowd of people his most holy humanity, bleeding, wounded, disfigured, the way it had been reduced for love of them and of all. All were moved and admired the excesses of love and the great portent of redemption. Now, my child, oh, how I wish you to be present in the act in which my son rose again. He was all majesty. His divinity, united to his soul, unleashed seas of light and of enchanting beauty, such as to fill heaven and earth. And as triumpher, making use of his power, he commanded his dead humanity to receive his soul again, and to rise, triumphant and glorious, to immortal life. What a solemn act! My dear Jesus triumphed over death, saying, "Death, you will no longer be death, but life." With this act of triumph, he placed the seal that he was man and God, and with his resurrection, he confirmed his doctrine, his miracles, the life of the sacraments, and the whole life of the Church. Not only this, but he obtained triumph over the human wills, weakened and almost extinguished to true good, to make triumph over them the life of that divine will which was to bring to creatures the fullness of sanctity and of all goods. And at the same time, by virtue of his resurrection, he cast into the bodies the seed of resurrection to everlasting glory. My child, the resurrection of my son encloses everything, says everything, confirms everything, and is the most solemn act that he did for love of creatures. Now listen to me, my child. I want to speak to you as the mamma who loves her child very much. I want to tell you what it means to do the divine will and to live of it. And my son and I give you the example. Our life was strewn with pains, with poverty, with humiliations, to the point of seeing my beloved son dying of pains. But in all this ran the divine will. It was the life of our pains, and we felt triumphant and conquerors, to the extent of changing even death into life. So much so that in seeing the great good, we voluntarily exposed ourselves to suffering, because, since the divine will was in us, no one could impose himself on it or on us. Suffering was in our power, and we called upon it as nourishment and triumph of redemption, so as to be able to bring good to the entire world. Now, dear child, if your life and your pains have the divine will as their center of life, be certain that sweet Jesus will use you and your pains to give help, light, and grace to the whole universe. Therefore pluck up courage. The divine will knows how to do great things wherever it reigns. And in all circumstances, reflect yourself in me and in your sweet Jesus, and move forward. The soul. Holy Mama, if you help me and keep me sheltered under your mantle, acting as my celestial sentry, I am certain that I will convert all my pains into will of God, and I will follow you, step by step, along the interminable ways of the Supreme Fiat, because I know that your charming love of Mother and your power will conquer my will, and you will keep it in your power and exchange it with the divine will. Therefore, my Mama, I entrust myself to you, and I abandon myself into your arms. Little sacrifice. Today, to honor me, you will say 7 times, "Not my will, but yours be done," offering me my sorrows to ask me for the grace that you may always do the divine will. Ejaculatory prayer. My Mama, for the sake of the resurrection of your Son, make me rise again in the will of God. You have reached the end of Day 28 of the Virgin Mary in the Kingdom of the Divine Will. Fiat.